How's things, bro?
Yeah, it's good, man. I can't complain. Just working. Hopefully, I might got a really good business deal coming soon.
Oh, really?
So,
What's that?
this company wants me to like merge my coaching business with
Yeah.
theirs. Um, they would handle all the back end stuff like what was it? Like leads, marketing, payrolls for new onboarded coaches,
Oh, that's cool, man.
and the mentorship program. Yeah, they have a lot of athletes now. They pretty much only have women, so I would kind of be like the brother brand, I guess. And I would lead that. So
That'd be cool, though.
I mean, it's helpful because I was working on trying to figure all that stuff out on my end, like currently.
Oh, isn't it?
But yeah, man, it's a pain in the ass.
Especially
It's a long process.
trying to be a pro bodybuilder and business so hard.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, no, man, it's looking good. So hopefully, and like their company's pretty big, man. They have about 20 coaches already.
Sweet.
Um, you know, a few. They said a few hundred athletes, and they sponsor about 52 shows in the states.
Nice. Yeah, because I'm always the same. Like, I love coaching, but like the whole business statistics, the setting up emails, and I'm like, drop me out of that. I just want to coach. I just want to get you peeled and ready for a show. So,
Yeah, so it's easy, man. So like, I mean, it's a good deal, and then yeah, I don't have to worry about any of that anymore. And I just find the coaches I want to put under me, and they get all the stuff figured out, like with money and things like that.
sweet. So let's jump straight into it. What has changed? This is nice to lead into. What has changed since the Olympia then? What's different now?
Much, man. I would say biggest couple things. So business wise, obviously, it's more people came to me for coaching. I always think that's funny, man. Like how people work. Like my knowledge didn't change from the Olympia, day before the Olympia and the day after, but somehow people, wanted to sign up more often. So there's that. Uh, there's, obviously I got a few more offers for sponsorships. Both of my clothing sponsors are in the UK. No, one's in the UK, the other one's in the Netherlands.
Yeah,
So
you're right.
yeah, JP.
How did that come
Oh
about?
yeah. Me and JP, I've known JP for a while. I asked to train with him back when I visited when I saw you, but he was busy in prep, and he's like, "Nah, let's do it another time," which was fine. I didn't bother me, but him and my coach are good friends. Him and Joe Bennett. So I guess he reached out to me and said, "Hey, what would you think of this?" I thought it was a good idea. Yeah, I like his brand and I like what he stands for. So.
Yeah, it's the ethos behind the brand is big in the UK because he has this audacity. Well, I feel like he has this audacity to just do whatever he feels is right and whatever he and the athletes want, rather than pander to what the marketplace wants. He almost like sets a staple for his own brand in the market, doesn't he? He just does what he wants, and I think that's a massive. Yeah, so that came about because obviously, like you say, Joe and Jordan are pretty good friends as well. Like with the sponsorships and stuff, do they like now that you've ranked higher in the Olympia and stuff? Does like your contracts go crazy?
No, I'm in a contract with some of them. So I have some ending like next month. Of course, that'll go up. I have some that won't end for another few months. So it's just stuck where it is.
Mm-hmm.
But I do have certain things in my contract, like they match the amount of money I make at the Olympia. So that's pretty cool. I get bonuses sometimes for different companies. So that helps out. But yeah, definitely want to kind of renegotiate once some of those contracts in.
Yeah, because like
Um,
for someone like myself, like who's never been to like the Olympia, like you've been, how many Olympics have you done now?
I've only missed one since 2016.
So
Yeah,
like,
I think that's 4, I think.
yeah.
No,
So
3.
three.
16, 17, 18, and 20. So 4. Yeah.
So for like people who don't, well, obviously like myself, who've never been to the Olympia, like, what's the feel like? How does the Olympia feel? Is it different to any other show, or is it?
It's different. Yeah. It's kind of weird now. I've done it a couple of times. It just kind of it kind of feels normal, but no, it's definitely different. The production obviously is a lot better. They treat people a lot better. I wish every show could be like the Olympia. They reimburse you for your flight. They give you a little extra money for food.
Oh,
Everything's free when it comes to that show. And then it's just really organized, and they do a meeting group with fans. I love that. It's a little different, man. It's like it's what I feel every show should be. That's what I would say.
is it any different from the Arnolds to the Olympia? Is it?
Pretty similar. I would say between those two, like production, organization, and all that stuff. It's pretty similar. Yeah.
How did you like? So how did you feel going into this Olympia? Because you had a lot of time off, right?
Yeah. I felt pretty good going into Olympia, especially after my Arnold placing. That made me feel pretty good going into the Olympia. And
Let's get it out. Did you like? For me, did you think you should have beaten Alex in the Arnold?
I thought it was possible. I mean, like, I don't honestly, man. I don't. I'm weird when it comes to competing. I don't think too much about stuff. I know Alice was good. Alice, he was winning 212 shows just like a year or two, like 2 years ago. And Alice is a good friend of mine too. But yeah, honestly, going into that show, I didn't think Alice was going to be the person to win. I thought if anyone was going to beat me, it was going to be Steve.
Yeah, I thought the same. Not like
yeah. No, it's cool.
Yeah, because we're short. Like I prefer your physique over Steve's because he's like tall as hell. So I'm like, nah, he's shit. No, I'm joking. But looking at his physique, the amount of muscle mass, the classic look, like he was very much more aiming towards BUMSTEAD sort of look than say Alex. Mm-hmm. And that's how I started. So it's either him or you, depending on what they went for. And then Alex was like a dark horse. Like on a whole, I just thought himself was more classic than Alex, personally. But he's great. He's got a great physique, but I think he could have won that. Definitely. Like you say, it's down to the judges, right?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's always funny, man, because he beat me there, but then at the Olympia, I placed higher than him at that show by 2 placings. Yeah, so
I've had the same.
Hopefully,
I've had the same thing in different shows, like literally weeks apart, and you can beat somebody, right?
Yeah, I think some of it has to do. I mean, I don't know who judges each show at the Arnold and the Olympia, but it could be just different judges like different things,
Mm-hmm. So, right. Was you shocked that you beat Brion in the Olympia?
Yeah, I was. I knew I could, but I didn't think it was gonna happen at the Olympia this year. I thought maybe another year or so. But no, and I've talked to maybe two or three judges now, and Bob Ciccarello. They all said I won because of the night show. I came in a little tighter. Brion, I think they said faded was just a little bit. And because it was so close that they said he was beating me in prejudging, but it was so close they said we should take a second look. And I guess that's what happened. It's funny because they don't have the night show on the scorecards. I thought that was weird, but that's what I was told a couple times by Bob, by Joe Pashkula, and by Tim Gardner. Yeah.
So you beat him in the night show and just came back in tighter, which I can, especially the posing and so on. Like your posing exceptional, as we know. So I bet how it's like what did it feel like when they called your name? Like because you didn't expect it?
Yeah, I didn't expect it at all. I mean, like, I honestly, I mean, I had a good idea where I would place. I've always been pretty realistic with where I am in the sport at the time. Like, but honestly, I thought I was probably gonna get third just going into the show. And after prejudging, a couple of people told me like, "Hey, you're in the running for second," and I was okay. Okay, and even when they told me that, I kind of I didn't really think too much about it. I just went to my room and took a nap, did some work, and then when they said Breon's for third, I was in shock. There's some pictures of my face floating around Instagram. Like, yeah, I didn't expect it at all.
Yeah, that's I think obviously with the big names, it's always like you have to almost knock out the champ, as you know, in bodybuilding. And then like you say, I loved it because running into the show, everyone they knew that you was coming into the show looking amazing, but they didn't have you up there like, oh yeah, it was just Breon and BUMSTEAD.
Yeah.
You're kind of forgetting about Ruff. Even Alex, you're kind of forgetting about Alex. Like they're just putting you to one side in a different category, like fighting out for third. So when you got second, I was happy because for me personally, the shape that you bring is for me classic. Where Breon and Alex are more small 212 guys in my eyes. Like this is me, this Olympia, but yeah, like I think they're smaller 212 guys. They're not as classic as say yourself. Do you know what I mean? So I think setting like precedent of what classic actually is.
I think you may be right because they did Joe Pascula. He did mention he just mentioned, yeah, man. He just told me I like the way your physique flows, and that was one of the factors of why he liked my physique as well. He just liked the way everything was put together. It's kind of weird, man. Like the classic is probably a little bit more hard. It's a little harder to judge than actual bodybuilder because they have that that factor included, like the way a person looks, like how it flows, things like that. It's really subjective in my opinion, and that's why people get so upset between like the Chris and Breon thing. Like I hope Breon has his team, Chris has his, type deal.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same for myself. Like I didn't know what look to bring to what show. They was like, "Oh, you're getting too." You remember when I didn't get too small? I'm like, I don't know what to do. But I think it is. A lot of people are just looking at it as, just going to make the weight limit for classic. That doesn't define you as a classic bodybuilder in my eyes. Like, you know what I mean? Just because you made the weight, it doesn't mean you.
No, I definitely agree. I definitely agree with you there. I definitely agree. Just because you made the weight doesn't make you classic. There's a lot of guys, especially when classic first came out. There's a lot of small bodybuilders, that just didn't have muscle. They had a really wide waist, but they didn't have muscle anywhere that could make the weight. And then, to replace dead last, and they would be confused on to why.
What did you change from obviously having the time off from the last Olympia you did, obviously to this Olympia? What did you change? Was it dramatic change, or did you change location? Did you change coach?
Okay, so my last Olympia before 20 was 2018. Okay. In 2018, I was living in Maryland. Right after Olympia, I moved, honestly. So Olympia was in September, October. I moved down to Tampa, Florida. I started training with Joe Bennett. I ended up changing coaches as well. Not because I wanted to, because Matt Porter, he passed away. So I had to, I started working with John Meadows as well. And I mean, honestly, I don't think John and Matt were too different in the training styles. There are some subtle differences. Like John, he's a little more simpler than what Matt was when it comes to like prep and the peak week process. But those are the major changes, especially training with Joe. I think that was the biggest thing, having like a training partner that knows how to train. And Joe, he's training like guys like Dallas Farber, Flex Lewis. So he's got some good guys on his belt that he's worked with.
He can keep you accountable as well with form, and and knows when to push. I found the same thing when coaching myself was the hardest, because as a bodybuilder, we always want to do more. And now you're going into a prep, you know yourself, like you reduce the sets down, and it's kind of like, you are working, but you're like, what?
Yeah.
And it's so alien to you.
That was probably the coolest thing I learned. Yeah, man. By the end of the prep, I was like one set per exercise.
Yeah,
that was the coolest thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So as you said, like John's pretty simple on like a protocol on leading up to peak week. Is he basically just like keep everything the same, or just if it isn't
Peak week? Yeah, man. Even the day of the show, like it's kind of cool, man, because I can kind of get a feel of how I'm gonna look at the Olympia or at any show, because I eat one meal, then I go train. I train early, so I'm usually on stage around the same time that I go and train. So I think my body's kind of used to it too. But yeah, like on the day of the Olympia, I had my normal breakfast. Like I had 3 eggs, some cream of rice, and 3 ounces of beef, and that's all I ate.
And you don't drink anything with water, nothing with
water. It depends. So some shows my first show with him, we didn't change much of what. I think we increased water by 2 liters. And then we kept it there for most of the week, and then we just put out water like the night before. This show, as I get heavier with John, obviously we kind of have to do more just to make weight. So
what is your weight class? 185, is it?
180. 180. So, as we get closer to the weight limit, we have to do a little bit more with water, but it's not because he actually wants to. It's because we need to drop water for a purpose. So the food stays the same. I still eat my normal, 6 meals, still spread out the same. I don't have to really suck down too hard either, so that's why things don't change much either. Once I get to like I'm shredded at 185, then we're gonna have to like obviously cut carbs and do things like that. But if you look good before, if you're not worried about weight, then there's no reason to change a ton of stuff. Yeah.
So what your plans are you planning obviously to put more muscle on now, or what are your plans now?
Yeah, I'm still trying to put on some more in the upper body still. Hopefully a lot in the arms. Legs I haven't really been doing much with. I would like a little bit more hamstrings. So with my leg days, we do like twice the amount of work on hamstrings than we do on quads.
Exactly the same.
Yeah. But most of the muscle we want to put on is in my upper body.
Yeah, this is what people don't realize. Like you have to take some from somewhere to then put it somewhere else. And I think past this situation, like they look at maybe myself and you who have to make weights and go, oh well, I'm going to put more on the hamstrings. Like them guys, they just need to put muscle everywhere. But for us who have to make certain weights, we have to think, okay, well, I don't need any more chest, or I don't need any more quad. I now need more back. I now need more hamstring. And then, so how has Joe set your training up to distribute volume? Does he just?
So yeah, I mean, like you said, like to grow in certain places, you kind of have to ease back on other body parts. So my leg training is very minimal, especially my quad training. Basically, I do 1 set of squats and then maybe 1 to 2 sets of lunges, and that's my quad. That's my quads for the week. And obviously we do 2 to 3 working sets for quads, and then so for instance biceps, we're trying to grow those. I do about it's just use biceps. So I do biceps on back day, maybe 2 sets. Then on my actual arm day, we do 2, 4, 6. So I do about 8 to 9 working sets for biceps.
And that's
it's about 3 times the amount that I do for biceps I do for quads.
Yeah. And then do you split them like frequently across the week then? Them sets?
For biceps, I do twice a week. A little, like I said, on back day, and then I have an arm day. My back day is on a Monday, and my arm day is on a Friday right now.
Yeah. So when you were setting up the new plan, like, be honest, was it how can we beat Bumstead, or was it how can we be a better Ruff?
No, yeah, it's how to be a better influence. I don't. People always say, "Oh," they look at Mr. Olympia and they say, "Oh, that's what they're looking for. That's what they should shoot for." Honestly, man, this I think that's a weird thing for people to think about. I think you should just focus on yourself and focus on improving your own physique. One, because it's nothing I can do to look like Chris Bumstead. He's like I can't grow another like 4 or 5 inches.
If you find out, let me know.
Yeah, if I could, maybe I would do that. But yeah, I mean, overall, like, and to be honest with you, man, I look at Chris this year, and we got a lot of the same, strengths and weaknesses. Like our arms aren't the best, they're not terrible, but they're not the best. Our legs are really good. We had a good, nice flow. So I think a lot of times people try to. So a really good example of this would be Ronnie Coleman and Jay Cutler.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Ronnie was the champ and everything, and Jay was trying to chase Ronnie. Jay could never be a better Ronnie. That's never going to be a thing. No matter how big Jay tried to get, he didn't beat. He never beat Ronnie at his best. He never outsized Ronnie. I think you should always just try to play to your own strengths. And I think that was something that was lost, like in the 70s and 80s. No one was trying to be like the other person. You know what I mean? Look at, especially in the 80s, I like that era. That's my favorite.
You had so many different, and like you say, you had Lee Labrada, these people, like they was all like my perception of bodybuilding is I want people to look and go, he needs a bit more. No, he has everything. Not
exactly
him or he's smaller than him. It's like that physique could be any weight, but the proportions on the physique is just like, yeah, that's bodybuilding. Well, I think that's
exactly. And I agree, man. And one more example is like, look at Rich Gaspari and Lee Haney. They were training partners. A lot of times, Rich Gaspari was second place. Rich Gaspari, I was the first guy to have shredded glutes, right? Mm-hmm. Rich Gaspari didn't like wake up one day and say, "Oh man, my glutes are shredded. Let me go eat a cake so they're not shredded, so I look like Lee Haney." You know what I mean? He didn't. He's like, "Let me get less lean to look like." No, that's not how it worked. He played to his strengths, which was, getting peeled.
You find what I find now in bodybuilding as well is people only like judge condition on glutes. They literally, it's like, oh, he's not got.
Yeah. It's crazy, man. We agree on a lot of stuff. No, I agree, man. I think a couple of things. One, if you look at guys in the 90s, not all of them had. People love to say the guys in the 90s were leaner. I don't think that was the case. They did have better separation. I totally agree with that. But if you look at
sorry to interrupt you, buddy.
Glutes,
they have better separation. What do you reckon the reason is?
It's tough to say, man. I mean, the only thing that makes sense to me would be drugs. Because if you break it off across the board, and obviously I can only work with what I've heard from interviews from old pros and the guys these days. A lot of these pros, they like to say that if you train harder, that's not the case. Because you look at open bodybuilders these days, they're stronger. They're lifting more. They're training, or if they're not strong, they're training just as hard, right? And then you also look at diet wise, they didn't diet any harder. I've listened to, I've seen stuff that Chad Nichols put out that Chris Vermeer ate Chinese. He ordered Chinese food the night before the Olympia. We've all heard of Flex. Yeah, I know, right? We've all heard of Flex Wheeler, cheating on his diet. And then Lee Priest as well. He said the lowest he ever got on carbs was 200 grams. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like they were really doing anything different that I could see besides maybe drugs were legal, or not legal, but legal or just better back then. And I've heard certain pros that kind of they were like baby pros in that era, and then they kind of became like older pros in ours. They say it was definitely a change, so that's just a guess, an educated guess for me.
Mm-hmm.
On that topic.
More separated, but like you say, the glutes, not everybody had shredded glutes.
No, so I don't think that was. I don't think they were any leaner. That's kind of my opinion there. Mm-hmm. But yeah, man, I think we're going back to the other side of that conversation about striations being the only factor for conditioning. I don't think that's fair either. Like I actually was talking to Nick Walker the other day. I think everyone would agree that Nick Walker's pretty, shredded when on show day. Doesn't have a single line in his glutes, I think it's a little bit genetic. Like, I do think it's a little bit genetic because, like, I've had striated glutes since I was, 154 pounds. Yeah, you know. But, I think if you think about striations, that's the only place people care. People never say that guy's not lean because he doesn't have striated triceps. That guy's not lean because he doesn't have a striated chest, right? So I think it's a little bit, I don't know where it comes from or why it's that way, but yeah.
Sorry. I hate that guy for that.
Yeah. You blame him. Yeah.
Yeah, I always see this at shows. Like, I feel like some people literally ruin their physiques trying to get shredded glutes because they're like, well, that's I think as well as they get further on into bodybuilding and they get better judging panels, they will realize, no, actually, it's not all just down to that one area. So it's just like, obviously, in the amateurs, like from like 5 years, people have just been, oh, he's shredded, he's got shredded glutes. I'm like, yeah, but he has no muscle anywhere else.
Yeah, man. I think sometimes people like they just kind of take things what other people said over the time, and they never. I think it's important in bodybuilding to kind of reflect and ask why is this the way? Like, why do people believe this, and just kind of break it down and not just go with the flow and just take things at the surface value. Yeah, face value. Yeah.
Literally the same thing. Like, so for yourself, do you think, for me, like with the classic, do you think posing routine should be judged? Do you reckon they should implement that?
I don't know, man. I mean, it definitely will be cool. It'll be tough to kind of figure out what percentage it should count for. I think classic is kind of fine either way because people appreciate. Most of the guys that compete in classic, they appreciate, posing. But in open bodybuilding, I definitely think it should be judged just for the simple fact that when you see shows throughout the year, the only time people have good routines is at the Arnold. And that's because it's judged at the Arnold, right?
Oh, is it just at No, it's just at the Arnold. All right.
Just for the open bodybuilders, but typically bodybuilders have better routines at the Arnold because they know what matters.
And they're waiting for the Arnold selfie, right? When he does the selfie, they want that picture.
Yeah. Man, I wish I could have got. I was disappointed, man. This year they had COVID, and I was hoping to get that type of picture, right? Yeah. But he was busy dealing with. It was so hectic he couldn't even watch the classic routines.
Arnold, sort it out.
I know, right, man. Yeah, that was literally like half the reason I went to that show just for that.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I wanted to do the Arnold, but that was a big reason. I was like, man, that'll be awesome if Arnold would see me do a routine.
Sure, isn't it? Like bodybuilding style is just like epic shit. Like that's the thing as well with bodybuilding. I think so for yourself, you might be similar to me. Like bodybuilding is more about not leaving a legacy, but obviously wanting to capture them moments and have them like you have behind you, like all these great moments on stage. Like it's more about that than just titles, right? Like titles mean a lot, but
it's interesting, man. I don't think either position is wrong. Like I think if you're only in it to win, then you're gonna be depressed. I think that's 100% true. But I definitely think there's nothing wrong with wanting to, to do well in the sport. But no, I think as I get older, I think about what I want out of bodybuilding and what I want people to, kind of what I want to leave. And I definitely want to be remembered for improving the sport more so than anything. Like, yeah, I do want to win the Olympia, I want to win Arnold, all that stuff. But I would like for people to say that I was able to take the sport to the next level. So I think everyone has something different they want from bodybuilding, and everyone's completely justified with whatever they want to achieve. But yeah, I kind of thought about what I want, and yeah, if I can bring some, if I can bring people that weren't gonna watch bodybuilding before, into the sport and have them appreciate it, I think that's something that would be great.
Did what you want from bodybuilding change over time? Mine certainly did. Like
Yeah.
when you started out bodybuilding, what did you kind of want from bodybuilding? Just
All I cared about was beating people and winning shows, and yeah, it was really what's the word, materialistic, I guess. Yeah.
right. It's all about you. I think
Yeah.
was as well as proving others wrong. Like that was a big driving force for me. And as I've got further on, I realized like that can't be the only drive. It's pretty like bad at dark to have a driving force, like because after a while it becomes stale. Whereas if you actually look at it, well, all the people you can help, that's fucking endless. Because the people who are going to say you can't do it, it's going to come to a point where you've done everything they said you couldn't do.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, what now? And now I'm in a position, and probably like yourself, is like I'm looking at to show other people that if I can do it just as a average person, you know what I mean, just an average guy, then anyone realistically like yourself. I started at 160 pounds, and like now I'm like, well, I can tell the young 18-year-old guy like, no, you can do it. Like I've done it. I wanted to be that guy who had the credibility and done it to say, no, you could go and you could turn pro and you could get to the Olympia, or you could, like yourself, you could win the Olympia. You know what I mean? Massive driving.
Yeah.
Like rather than just doing it for, like you say, the trophies and the pictures and the.
Yeah. I think that's empty way to live. I think, man, like I definitely think that, like you said, like the people that say that they're doing it for the haters or whatnot, I think they have the wrong outlook. I think they don't deserve anyone's, if anyone that's hating on people or talking negatively, they don't deserve anyone's attention. I think the people they should be doing it for is the people that support them. I think they should be doing it for those people, not for, that's the people that matter. Those are the people that are there for you. I think you should, they're the ones that deserve attention. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you
Mhm.
ever get I don't think you ever get like internet trolls, right? Because you're just such a nice guy, so nobody really trolls you.
Every now and again, every now and again I do. Not too often, man, but you just don't let it bother you. Just those people want attention. You know what I mean?
Like I take it for what it is. I take Instagram and social media as social media. I find it when people troll me, I'm just like, really? Okay. Like,
The thing is, man, I see pros fall for it all the time. Obviously, people saw what happened with Phil and Louis a couple years ago. It doesn't help any, if someone's trolling me or you, it doesn't help us to respond to it.
no.
You know, it 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 does nothing. It does nothing good. You just ignore it, and then those people, it bothers them more if you ignore them. You know what I mean?
100. Yeah, like I noticed that, like, because like you say, they're just
Or
crazy.
you could just make a joke out of it. Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah, I think I did one the other day.
Yeah.
He was like on steroids, and then I literally listed like Antren, and like bull sperm, and
Well, that's the way to do it, man. Like if you take ownership, for whatever they're trying to talk bad about you about, they don't have anything else to say. Look at Chris. Chris Bumstead's a good example. Like with his list, he fucking uses it as a marketing tool. Like what, you know what I mean?
I love that though. That's like, well, I think that's the side of how humble he is and how you can be humble, because if you've got this ego and it feels bruised and you feel like someone's having a dig at you, you have to feel like you have to fight back with them and argue with them instead of like, oh no, I'm macho. Whereas if you're humble, you're like, it doesn't matter. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
It takes a long time to build that up over time, but I think more and more people, as you get more and more successful in bodybuilding, you have to accept that there's just going to be these people. they're just there's never going to change.
It is.
Would you?
I think that's for a lot of guys.
Would you do the Arnold again? Are you going to do it again?
Yeah, not this year. They don't. Yeah, not this year, but probably next year I end up doing it. Yeah, man. As I get closer to the weight limit, I definitely want to compete more and more, because the only reason I don't do more shows is because I have to get bigger to like keep up with everybody else right now. But yeah, once I reach my weight cap, then I'll probably stay pretty damn close to that and compete. Maybe 3 shows a year would be cool. Yeah.
What's the goals then? Is it New York Pro? You want to win a New York Pro?
I want to win every major pro show. Yeah. I definitely want to win the Arnold, New York Pro. Yeah. And I guess Pittsburgh Pro would be the other one.
Yeah.
I definitely want to compete more internationally as well. I haven't done. Only the international show I've done was Toronto. I was gonna do the Veronica Gallego Classic, but I won the Toronto, and then I just didn't compete that next week at that show. So I definitely want to do more of that too.
So with the obviously, like you say, you need to get bigger and put size on. Do you struggle to gain weight? Do you have to eat a lot, or?
So it's weird. When I was younger, it was harder for whatever reason. Now it's getting a lot easier. Literally everything bodybuilding wise gotten easier for me. Like I don't have to do as much cardio. I don't have to diet quite as hard. Even I made a post yesterday. Like I did a post about I was eating more 6 years ago. I was eating a little bit over 5,000 calories a day. And now, when I bulk, I think I get around 4,000 calories or so. At least this last bulk. But no, it's been. I don't have the best muscle building genetics. I think some of the guys that have the best would obviously be like Keon, Derek Lunsford, some of those guys like that. They put on 50 pounds of muscle in a year.
Like Keon is just crazy. You think he can win the 212? Keon?
I think it's possible. I talked to Flex Lewis a couple of weeks ago. He thinks that Keon would be the biggest threat to the title if he can get shredded. I think Keon has all the tools to get there. I think the biggest thing for him is going to be how can he do it mentally? Can he mentally get there? Yeah.
Hold it down.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's because I noticed like this is Keon's who's fucking unreal, but like he's a little bit softer in the hamstrings, he's a little bit softer, and like that doesn't show massively when you're stood on your own, but when you're stood next to Sean, it's not.
It's game over. Yeah, yeah. Sean's not gonna play. Sean, yeah, Kamal, shredded, yeah, all those guys. Keon will be the one standing out if he doesn't come on point.
Yeah, he'll be almost no offense to Derek Lunsford, but he'll almost be like Derek Lunsford on his own. He looks unbeatable. Like you're like because I remember him training. You've probably seen him a lot when he was at Ben's gym, wasn't it?
In my 40, yeah.
And he was like, I seen the pictures and I was like, what the hell? I don't know.
Derek is like, it sucks, man. Like I wish people could see more like of these genetic freaks, then they wouldn't call every pro a liar and stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I've seen what Derek is like 240, 250 in off season, not really taking any drugs. He's eating maybe 2,500 calories. He's doing cardio every day still. He's literally trying not to grow, and his body's not. And I'm like, you know what I mean? If people could see like how easy it is for some people to put on muscle, like it's ridiculous, man. And I mean, as a coach, you probably know, man. You've seen people take drugs and not put on as much as someone that's natural. You know, it's ridiculous sometimes, man. Out of body works.
Yes. And it's not even down to when you get to like our level. Well, I'm not at your level, but once you get to a pro level, it's not even down to we're not working hard. We're all working hard. You know what I mean? It's that's when the genetic elite just shines through. Like
definitely, man.
Like everyone's pretty much on a level playing field. We're kind of all doing the same thing. We all have the same sort of structure of life. And then all like you just see these anomalies that just come out of nowhere. Like, what the hell?
Yeah. Like, look at that Lord Jones guy. He is massive, man. I don't know how he makes weight, to be honest with you. He weighed in at like 215 or something.
Mate, like I think I posted him the other day, didn't I? I posted him up the other day.
I think so, yeah.
230, wasn't he?
I think he's like 230 now. Yeah, 230. Yeah. He's light, man. He doesn't weigh anything.
He's like 41, he says. I don't believe that.
He's 41 years old?
He says he is on his story. He said he was 41. I was like,
you know, Breon's 41.
No, I know, but I was like, thank God, hopefully you'll be kind of gone enough.
Yeah. Yo, it's tough, man. Though, like it's one thing I had no idea he was 41. He doesn't sound 41. He doesn't look 41. He doesn't talk like he's 41. But
right, everyone's just like, oh, Dexter's doing it, so I'll do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I had no idea he was. I thought he was like in his 20s or something.
Yeah, he's very good though, right?
No, he is. I think he has some. He reminds me of Paul Ouellette, where he's got some really awesome body parts. He's missing like a little bit, like in his back and hamstrings, but his posing is really bad.
Oh, really?
Hey, Lord Jones, yeah. It's funny, man. When I first saw him come on the scene, I was like, man, I'll probably help him with some posing if he reaches out. But now I'm like, nah, he's top 5. You figure that out on your own, man.
Yeah. I don't know if you have the same thing. Like when you stood backstage, like I stood backstage and I'm eyeing everybody up, thinking like he's good, and then you see these guys like Chris and is it Lord? Is his name Lord? Lord Jones, and they're just
his real name's Brian. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, okay. Lord Jones sounds better than Brian, right?
Yeah.
So you see them and you're just like, they're so big. Like you're like, and then you see pictures of you next to them. Like I did the same thing. Like when I was in the finals, there was a guy who like Jimmy Tonk. He's really good. He's trained by JP, and he's like 240. And I'm still backstage, and like I talk to Jimmy like this because he's so tall. And then I'm like, okay, how am I? Like, there's no way I'm going to beat him. He's 240. And then you see the pictures, and it's crazy how physique's weight doesn't really matter, does it?
I agree, man. Yeah, I'm bad about that backstage. I think everybody looks great backstage. I was like, oh, this dude looks good. This dude looks good.
I'm going home. I'm going to get going.
Yeah, man. I just learned though, man. I learned that I'm not good at judging people's physiques backstage. So I just, I think they look good, but I don't. It doesn't bother. It does. I don't think I'm gonna like place any lower. I just think, I still think I'll do well. I don't know. I just think everyone looks great backstage.
You get nervous on show day or?
I get anxious. I don't get nervous. I'm just ready to go. I get like excited. Yeah.
Because obviously,
I hate waiting.
With your posing, do you like how much do you practice posing like on leading up to an Olympia?
We practice posing usually like twice a day. I usually practice in the morning and then after my workout. Yeah. My routine wise, it depends. It depends. It's a lot different from routine to routine. This last one took a while. It's kind of weird because it's not like it took me a while to find the song I wanted, then to kind of figure out how I wanted to do it.
Just because obviously I know this, but they don't. You find the song first, right, and then put your. I remember when we posed together, when you had the song, little elements of that song, you would then put the poses too, right?
Yeah. So I always do that first. I mean, I think everyone talks about bodybuilding being an art. I think when it comes to posing, it's even more true. And if you look at dancers or any type of performing artist, that's how they work. They start with the song and then they build upon that.
How do you pick a song? What makes you pick a song? Who you connect with?
Well, yeah, one, I gotta connect with it. I gotta like it. Two, I kind of have to. I try to put myself into the audience's perspective as well. So, like this last song I picked, I was like, man, this will be great because Final Countdown it's an old school song. So people from born in like the 70s will love it. People from today will know it from like the Rocky series and whatnot. But then it's also remixed, so it's still a little new school. So people can get that feel too. So, and it kind of reminded me of what classic is. It's a mixture of old school and new school put together. So that's kind of what I thought of when I picked that song. Also, when it comes to songs, I have to be able to pose to it too. So the tempo can't be too fast. And I also don't want it too slow for too long. It can be slow at certain parts, but if the whole song was slow, people get bored. And even if they don't get bored, they're not as interested, you know. So say for instance, there's a lot of good posers in the open. There's a lot of good posers. Dexter Jackson, Cedric McMillan are two, but you know, they normally pose the slower songs. I will say that I don't have any issues with their posing routines or anything, but I will say that I don't know. The only routine I can remember that Cedric did off the top of my head is the one he did blindfolded.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's not because of the song choice or what he did. It's just because it was a prop. But any other routine, most people can't really name them. You know what I mean? Like, they're not bad, but they're not like legendary. And I think I got that idea from like Lila Brada. Lila Brada had very like interesting songs. They were quick, they were dynamic and everything.
Mm-hmm. They had a build up to it. I remember, I think I seen a clip where he said he literally heard something in Spain or somewhere, and then he was like, "Is it the Matador song or something like that?" You know, it builds up, and he was
I
like,
think I know what you're talking about, right?
and he literally searched and searched. So that's like,
Yeah.
that's what for me, like you say, art, like bodybuilding is a performance, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how long does it take you to map out a home routine?
I can do it pretty quickly, man. If I have to. I've done.
Sorry, bro. Funny. I remember practicing my routine for probably like 2 or 3 months, yeah. And then you came and you was like, "Oh, show it me." Showed it you once, and you could just do it. And I was like,
Yeah. It was because that is one. So posing kind of came naturally to me. If anyone wants to look, they can see some of my old routines on YouTube. Like you can see the creativity from like my first routine, but it just wasn't polished. It was just kind of rough, and like the poses were off and this or that. But how I got to be able to do that is I just worked with a lot of people, man. Like I was doing like posing routines every day, like 6 routines a day.
"Oh,
And
really?"
it was really hard at first. And then I just got better and better. Like at first I had to go through it and do it. And then it got to a point where I can just map out a routine in my head in like 5-10 minutes.
You almost know like what pose will transition into another pose, into another
Mm-hmm.
pose. Even
It's like anything, man. You know, you first start being a coach, and like at first you gotta look up every macro. You gotta like look up this. You can't remember, you know, what supplements is for what, and then you do it for long enough, and then off the top of your head, you're able to remember. You know, L-citrulline does this, or you know, creatine does this. You know, stuff like that. You know, it just comes quicker the more you do it, and that's what kind of happened. Yeah. So that's what kind of happened with that, but. You know, everyone loves their Toronto routine. That one took about 2 months to do. The one I did at the Arnold, that took maybe 2 weeks, but I didn't finish the ending until after prejudging.
Yeah, you changed the song, right?
I changed the song really late, man. I don't know what happened, man. It just wasn't clicking right, the song I had. So I had to change it. And yeah, so that one was really down to the wires. And
like it was crazy. It was my posing routine when I won my pro card. I literally did that backstage, like all the other because I was like, you know what had happened is because they said I wasn't being as classic as I should have been. I wasn't doing any floor work because I was kind of nervous and thought like I don't want to mess it up. So like the shows, I haven't done any floor work. I just hit all my best shots and so on. And I was backstage thinking, I'm gonna have to just bring something out. Like I'm just gonna have to make something up. Like so, I just started on the floor. And my girlfriend at the time was thinking, "What is he doing?" Like because this is not. And then I just literally winged like probably the best posing routine I've ever done. I was like, that kind of,
yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna have to be more classic because, like, I don't know, people consider floor work and things like that as more classic, don't they? So
yeah. I think it just makes it like, especially now that you're pro, you get more time. You're gonna kind of have to do that just so you're not doing the same couple poses, you know.
I think
over and over again.
It's great to be like remembered. So you're Survivor. You must know this now, but your Survivor routine is like.
You know, dude, it used to bother me, and it used to get like kind of bug me a bit because I'm like, man, like,
the original.
You know, I did that. I did that routine in 2018. So I literally like it was my first good routine, and I'm like, well, is that like people? I just felt like nothing would be as good. And I'm like, I still got like another like 15 years of competing, you know?
I say this all the time. It's like, say, I don't know if you follow like football or soccer, but like, say if like Ronaldo or Messi or like the top players, the expectation of them are so high now. Like you set the precedents so high.
Yeah.
Your team was okay. Like it's like, it's fucking amazing. Well, it was just
man.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't really bother me anymore, though, man. I just kind of accept it. Like, yeah, people are gonna like what they like, and that's fine. Hopefully, you know, people can appreciate my newer stuff, and most of them do, man. It just, I don't know, people just, if people like the Toronto routine, or the Survivor routine, that's, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, I think that song was probably the most used song for posing in like.
Yeah, dude, I still get people like sending me clips of them posing to it. Like, I'm like, dude, I think it's pretty cool, man. It's funny, like people like will ask me, "Is that like, do you think that's disrespectful?" I'm like, no, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, should I do that song? And I was like, no one can now do that song. You can't do it.
Yeah.
It's good. It's gonna be the lesson.
Nah. I think it's cool, man. I like that. I think that's pretty cool. And I mean, yeah, I hopefully but yeah, when I see people do it, like it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me. It actually makes me feel happy that people appreciate it enough to do it.
If that's your goal as well, like you said, to make not like I could show most people that posing routine who don't even train, and they'd be like, "Wow, that's like."
Yeah.
And for me, any posing routine, realistically, that's bodybuilding. Because I think as well, it's like obviously we know bodybuilding isn't defined by just a posing routine, but
Yeah.
that's the only bit that people really get to see. Of us
Yeah.
training, kind of like my parents would be like, "Oh, okay." They'll see a video of me training, like, "Is that heavy?" And I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah. You know what's even worse though? I listen to Ian Valier. I watch his stories. His wife is a body, you know, she competes. She doesn't even know what he lifts is heavy.
Really?
Like, ask him, like, is that bench heavy?
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, if she doesn't know, then definitely not, you know, Joe Smith.
5-plate incline, like, fucking, is that heavy?
That's gotta suck, right? Yeah, your own wife is saying, asking that question.
I had the same though. My dad doesn't train, but he came into the gym and he was like, so obviously he's watched my videos of deadlifting and so on. And I think there was a bar set of like 60 kilo one. And I'm like, well, pick it up. And he's like, I could pick that up. And my dad's like a working class guy. He works on cars and things like that. And he's strong, but it's a total different sport, right? So he goes to the bar. And I'm like, there you go, Dad. Now you realize.
You got to give him some perspective. Yeah.
Crazy. But yeah, moving like onto competing like this year. So you're just going to do the Olympia this year?
Yeah, I was hoping The Rock was going to put on his show, but I don't think he is.
FitCon. Is it called FitCon?
I think so. I think so. Yeah.
President soon, all right?
You say what?
He's going to be running for president soon, right? The Rock.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. So hopefully you can get this body. Yeah.
That would have sounded so ridiculous before Donald Trump, but now anything.
Yeah. You know, a little history lesson. We've had like an actual celebrity, an actor president before. Ronald Reagan, he was an actor.
Oh, was he actually an actor?
Yeah. I don't think he was super like an A-list. I think he was like a B-list actor, if I'm not mistaken. You know, obviously, I never watched any of his stuff, but yeah.
It's pretty well for a politician though to be an actor, right? Because he can just be famous.
Yeah.
He just has to just tell people what they want to hear anyway. So yeah.
I do, yeah.
Like
I wouldn't want to be president.
Like you couldn't pay me. You couldn't pay me enough to be.
You know what's crazy too? One of the rules, they're not allowed, once they're president, they're never allowed to drive on private roads, on public roads again. So they really can't drive once they become president. So if you're a car person, you're just kind of screwed.
You just get all this money and then can't, but you can have a nice but you can't.
I know, right?
Why would that be a rule? In case they die.
I guess they're worried. that someone, you know, that's, I guess, a security risk. They can't buy their own cell phones either.
How? Oh, you
stuff like that.
I was like, how do you know this? But you was
I looked it up the other day. I like looking up weird facts like that. So
I do the same. Like normally when I'm on prep and I'm like it's 30 minutes into cardio and I'm just Googling random stuff like how many times do I have to earn £1 million to be as rich as Jeff Bezos? And they're like, never.
Oh my God, yo, never. Yeah, never.
Some of the craziest facts. Like, what the hell? I love it. Like all the Bill Gates facts. Like if he dropped $1, like worth his time picking it back up. Like he make more money.
Wow.
How do you find like now? Obviously, for people who don't know, like you used to be in the military, right?
Yeah.
So how do you find like life now, like being just a pro bodybuilder and not being in the military?
I miss some of the people sometimes. I talk to some of my old coworkers every now and again. Actually, I just found out one of them lives in Tampa. I found out yesterday. So I may go see them soon. But no, I don't miss the job, really. I didn't really like my job at all. It wasn't a bad job. I did, I'll tell you the actual name and I'll give another example. So like I worked on a 184 ECM pod, actually AN/ALQ 184 ECM pod. ECM stands for electronic countermeasures. And basically it's a radar jamming system that attaches to planes. So in all those movies you see like the high-tech planes are saying, oh, we're locking on the target. What I worked on prevented that from happening. It jammed the signal. Yeah, so there's some cool videos on YouTube of like it actually doing its job where like a missile was coming toward a plane, and then you'll see the missile just fly off and explode.
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
How did you get into that job? What did you want to do that or did you?
Nah, I went into the military trying to be in special forces, and I ended up not making it. And luckily, I made it far enough. So if you don't make it past the first 2 weeks, you just get kicked out the military for wasting the time. But luckily, I made it far enough not for that not to happen. And I just didn't make it the whole way. And they end up just putting me in that job. Okay. Yeah.
And then you just learned that. Did you find like the discipline from the military helped you in bodybuilding, or was it?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely that with also discipline. That mixed with sports for sure. Yeah. It definitely made bodybuilding. Honestly, man, like especially going through some of the stuff that I went through, that like the normal military, I don't think that would have been enough to kind of help me with bodybuilding. To be honest with you, like for normally in the military, the only part that's difficult is the basic training, and then once you get to your job, it's pretty easy. But just going through that special forces stuff, man, like it definitely like shit is hard. And I'm like, well, if I can get through this.
What did they have you do? What did they make you do?
Some of the stuff. There's some cool YouTube videos. So if anyone's interested, they could Google YouTube or Google TACP or CCT training. They or PJ. PJ is a little bit more difficult, but it's all at the same schoolhouse. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we would, there was hard. It was a lot of like PT and stuff, man, and not a lot of sleep. Like they would wake you up sometimes in the middle of the night after 2 or 3 hours. You would go for like a 6 or 8 mile run, and then you would do your actual calisthenics, like pull-ups, push-ups, sit-ups, and like 8 different other exercises. Then you would rucksack somewhere. That's like you carry like a backpack with a whole bunch of weight. You'll do that somewhere else. Then you have to go, do your studies and actually be awake and pay attention and functional in class. And it was physical, but it was also mental, man, because the physical part was hard, but I think they have like a requirement test you have to say, but if you pass that, I think you should be able to pass all the physical stuff with the special forces training. The biggest part is the mental stuff, man, like the lack of sleep, the being focused like all the time, like paying attention to everything, was very difficult, man. And that's how I felt, man. Like I was out on the field, like you spend a week out in the woods and you navigate, you get, you got to go from point A to point B. You have to, at night, you and your 4-man team take turns guarding each other. And dude, I was just so out of it. Like I just started making stupid mistakes. Like I would lose like a little item, and that was the mark against me. I would like the instructor asked me like, "Where are you on this map?" I pointed to the wrong spot. I knew where I was, but I pointed to the wrong spot. That caused me to fail that, and it just added up. You get 3 strikes, and then you lose. You know, you're out of that. So, there's the biggest part was like the mental part, man. Like the lack of sleep really, really fucks with you. So,
How long does the training last for?
each one is different. So mine was the shortest. Mine was the easiest because there's no water component. I'm not a great swimmer. I can swim, but I tried out for the PJ one. That's the hardest one.
Is that the one?
But
is that the one David Goggins always goes on about? Is it David Goggins? You know who David Goggins is?
no, not him. No, he's a SEAL.
Oh, okay.
He's a SEAL. Yeah. But I would say PJ's pretty close to that. Like Tag P's not nowhere near close to being a SEAL.
Okay.
But PJ's pretty damn close, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
But mine was the shortest because it was the least specialized. So Tag P, they called it close air support for the Army, and it was about 4 months. And the cool part about that one is like you can be stationed, you can take it as far as you want to. You can be in a normal infantry group, a tank division, Secret Service, Rangers. You know, you can be as badass as you want to be. You know, so I liked that one. Yeah. So,
yeah. What would you do? What would you do? If you in an ideal?
I had my base already. I didn't get you don't get to pick your base like when you first get started. Like your first assignment is just whatever they give you, and then you can apply to do cooler stuff. My first one was gonna be with the Armored Tank Division. But I would have loved to do like Ranger School. The cool thing is, man, people always make fun of the Air Force, but no, the thing that the TACPs they pride themselves with is none of them have ever failed Ranger School. So Ranger School is easier than TACP, I would say.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So
yeah, because no one's ever failed it. Yeah.
So how long was you in the military for in total?
6 years. 6 years. I joined at 17, and 6 years after, so 23, I got out.
And then you left just because of bodybuilding, or just had enough, or?
It was a bodybuilding, man. Well, dude, like, one thing with going through like Tech P wise, but going back to that, like, that's a difficult job, man. Like, I felt my body hurt more then than it does now. Like, everything hurt, man. My joints, I felt like shit. It would hurt to stand up at a certain point. But yeah, I got out of the Air Force because of time. Like, bodybuilding was the only like professional. They didn't really respect bodybuilding. Like, if you were a professional athlete in any other sport while being in the military, they gave you free time off to do that. But bodybuilding, they didn't do that. They didn't do that for bodybuilding. So I was using all my days off to go compete, go to seminars, and do things like that. And I just didn't have any time to actually rest. I didn't have time to see my family, and I just kind of had to make a decision.
Mm-hmm. And,
yeah,
it worked out well because you're on the way to winning Olympia. So
yeah. So it's going all right.
Yeah, you get in there. Not too bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's great. Like, so you find being in the military was way harder than a prep? Because for me, like, the hardest thing I've ever done is prep. So like, do you know what I mean? What, the military?
So,
sorry.
Yeah, so normal military, no, but like the special forces stuff, definitely, yeah.
It's a different level.
Yeah, definitely, man. Yeah.
I don't know why I always feel like I could do things. Like, I'll see things on TV. Like, we have a program called like SAS, and it's basically.
I know it. Yeah.
And I think, yeah, I could do it. I could.
Dude, I think if you ever had the opportunity to kind of experience that training, man, I would say do it, because the biggest, like, I think being able to push your limits like that would definitely make everything else in life easier, because then this isn't ever be as hard as that, It's kind of the same way, like, say, for instance, like John Meadows talked about it the other day on the podcast. He was like, after he had his heart attack, nothing else stresses him out, because he's like, it's definitely not as stressful as a heart attack, So it's a similar concept, yeah.
It puts things in perspective, right? It changes the.
For sure.
like, you know yourself, like even with this, I hate to dwell on lockdown, but like we're still in lockdown. But this lockdown has shown me like the simplest of things is really what we desire. Or like even I traveled out to Dubai a few weeks ago to train and to whatever because we was in lockdown, and we was catching like £200 fines every couple of days just for training. So I was like, yo, I'm gonna get out of here. So basically, but then what that showed me was I had all the luxuries of everything. So I had like eating out, training, so on. But then it wasn't as great as sunsets and things. But I said it wasn't as great without my family there. Like my family wasn't there, so I was like, it's not like it doesn't hit the same. And you need to almost experience these certain things to put things in perspective, right? So like with the training, it makes you change your perspective. With myself, it was kind of like, do I want all these things, or do I actually just want to share them with the other people? You know what I mean? Yeah, that's kind of how I like things like that. Same with prep. Like when someone goes through a prep, I think it builds people's character. It shows them that they all. I did the same thing. I used to go train with like great guys like say JP or these top people in the UK because it resets the standards. It makes
especially training wise. Yeah, you think you're training hard, and then you train with someone that actually trains hard, and then it takes you to another level. Yeah,
training with Sean
Carita. Sean was cool, man. I think he didn't think I don't think he thought I was as strong as what I was.
Okay.
I think that's what it was. Yeah, because I beat him on a couple of exercises. Or I kept up with him. And people are like, people was really impressed with Sean, and I get that he's shorter than me, but when we did that video, he was about 25 pounds heavier than me, you know?
Yeah.
But Sean, and I love Sean, man. Sean's a good guy, and he's focused. Whatever you tell him to do, he's gonna do it, you know?
He seems like he almost like has the golden ticket now, and he's like, you better come and try and take this off me. Like there's someone's take it off him, right?
He's not gonna lose that title because he didn't work hard. You know what I mean? He's gonna do everything possible to keep it.
I find that all the time as well. It's like the people I train with, you're like me, like pretty light. So like I'm like 210 and you're like 200, so a bit heavier. And I always find like I train with people like 260, 270. And the guys are like, oh, he did like an extra couple of reps in you. I'm like, he's got 70 pounds from me.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy, man. Like I would say it does. I don't know why, man, but I see a lot of open bodybuilders and they're not quite as strong as what I thought. So like I've trained with Hunter, I've trained with Nick, and don't get me wrong, they're definitely strong, but I'm pretty damn close to them. But then I've also trained with Luke, and I've also trained with Akeem, and those guys are on a whole different level, man. Luke, I got to train with Luke one time before he passed. We did legs, and going into it, man, I was like, man, I know he's gonna be stronger than me, but I could probably do, I'll probably be maybe one plate different. Maybe no, it was like 3 plates difference on like exercise on like squats and stuff, dude.
Like for people who love this. So like, what was the session like? How did you hack squat, leg press? What?
It's on. If anyone wants to check it out, it's probably somewhere on the Redcon website. Don't type in my name because they're not gonna show me because I wasn't on the Redcon actually. I think type in like Luke and Joe Bennett leg day or something.
Was you in that leg day? Yeah.
I think they showed me like once or twice. Yeah. But training. We did lion leg curls. Then we moved on to some weird. It took us a minute to find a good hat squat machine at that gym because it was new. Aaron just bought the gym as is with all the equipment in it from the past owner. Yeah, so we ended up finding a decent hat squat machine. We started training there. And like honestly, like Luke was taking it easy. He didn't like to train too hard when he traveled. And dude, like it just was I just kind of felt embarrassed. I was like, man, I'm like struggling here. He's still like warming up, and it's easy for him, man. It was just easy. He was just going up and down, like it was nothing. And that's the last part. We did some more exercises, but I don't remember those. The last part I remember was the hacks we did.
And he
I've never had someone outdo me like that bad. Like I said, I've trained with a couple big guys like Nick and Hunter and some other guys. I've trained with I don't know if you know him, but Primitive. I can't think of his real name right now, but Primitive Muscle Jam up in Pool. I trained with him too. I mean, I know he's not the biggest, but he's pretty strong, you know. And yeah, man, I've never had anyone outdo me like that.
He just literally, he had a different level of strength, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably like Jordan. I think Jordan's probably, or James. Maybe I reckon James. You know James Hollinshead?
Yeah, I know James.
He's probably the strongest, I reckon, UK bodybuilder. All round.
Okay.
All round.
Okay.
Like, benching to deadlifting to like he's just crazy strong. But like as well, he's like Luke was even stronger than him, I think. I think James was training with Luke before he passed away, and he was just like, I can't keep up.
Yeah, man. It's crazy. It's crazy to think about stuff like that, man. I like James. James is a cool dude, man. I like James because just how he's progressed. Like I really pay attention to like bodybuilders and the journeys because I'm a fan of bodybuilding. Mm-hmm. And one thing, I love Regan as well, but I remember I use James as an example. I remember people were saying they think Regan's going to be Mr Olympia. And yeah, it's possible. You never know what's going to happen. Something may click here or there. You never know. Look at Brandon Curry. But I use this as an example. You know, 2 years ago, I think he was in Japan. Or somewhere over there. Regan beat James Hollinshead. You remember? He beat him, and I think he beat him by a couple placings. And you know, they do their all season, and you see the difference in the way they train, right? You see how you said James he's all business. He's nothing that's fancy or not fancy, but fluff stuff. And he came back and won. You know, he beat Regan easily, and he won another. He won 2 shows back to back. So I really do appreciate James. So if he watches this, what's up, man?
The thing is as well, I think we all look like an underdog, and he was never meant to be he was meant to be a top 6 guy, right? Or like so then just out of sheer hard work. It's the same, I think it's the same principle as what we were saying before, is the reason we want to show people that it can be done. Like he's actually a hope of like, oh, actually, fuck, if you really double down on everything and go in and be 100, you can't work these guys. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm a realist, man. I'm pretty real. So like, I think genetics are keen, and people always say which one's more important. They're both equally important, but but there's a saying like if genetics doesn't work hard, then working hard is going to beat genetics. I mean, look at Ronnie and Flex Wheeler. If Flex would have trained as hard as Ronnie, he probably would have beat him, but he never did. So I think, man, when people talk about bodybuilding too, yeah, definitely being mentally strong is important. Like there's a couple guys that I don't know if I hold myself to a lower standard or other bodybuilders to a higher standard, but I definitely think there's some bodybuilders that should be beating me, but they're not all in, man. Yeah. And they leave that door open, and I beat them. Yeah,
I've had the same thing as like, I shouldn't beat them, but just you're not gonna outwork me. So it's that's the only variable you can control is your effort. Mm-hmm. So and I always have a thing where if you do beat me and I've done everything, then it's just not meant to be. Like I can't anymore. I never want to be the guy who says I coulda or woulda or shoulda. I kind of be like, well, it is what it is. It just wasn't meant to be. I'm not a big believer in fate. I just think if you've worked the hard, hand on heart, if you give everything to a prep or to a bodybuilding and left nothing, like no stone unturned, then you can hold your head up high and say, well, I couldn't do any more. There's no regrets. That's the thing is like, I don't want to live with regrets.
Mm-hmm. I agree, man. I agree with you there, man. I think a lot of bodybuilders, man, I try to tell a lot of new guys, and you pretty much understand this as well, it sounds like, but a lot of bodybuilders, they attach, their physique and their placing to who they are as a person, and they become really like depressive when they lose and stuff. And I'm like, you can't be that way. Like, it's the only thing that matters is like what you've done, like you said, your hard work. That's if you've worked hard, that's all that matters. If you don't win, it is what it is. If someone says something bad about your physique, don't take it personally. Take it as you have to kind of separate who you are as a person from your physique, and a lot of people have a hard time doing that.
I try to use the same analogy with my clients, and I say to them why do millionaires still work? They've achieved it all. They've got it because all it is really is personal progression. They are striving for personal progression. Mr. Olympia. Why does he keep doing more Mr. Olympias? Because he wants to get better personally. Every day with bodybuilding, we're getting a little bit better. We can be a little bit more efficient. We can do things a little bit better. We can help more people, or as cliche, inspire more people. And that's the thing is we're not doing it just for that momentary bit of happiness or even a paycheck, or you can't do it for that because it's not as short.
Yeah, definitely not. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you say, you got second at the Olympia, and it's fucking unbelievable to me because I've not even been to the Olympia. I'm like, wow, that's unbelievable. But it's short-lived. Even winning my pro card probably lasted 3 days. And I was like, okay, what's next?
back to work. Yeah. Back to work. Yeah. Yeah.
My cardio, I did the cardio on the same machine. I lived in the same house. It's all the same. I ate the same meals. Nothing changes dramatically, but you've got to enjoy the process of it all. And obviously, like you say, is the legacy that you can leave while you do that, who you are doing that, the character that you are, rather than the physique. Isn't it?
I agree, man. Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I found with trying to do this or trying to do YouTube as well. You're trying to do YouTube also. I find it hard, time consuming, but I kind of want to give more than just a flat image. You can see.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're gonna do more YouTube, right?
Yeah. I made today my YouTube day. I even got a little whiteboard there to start doing stuff. Yeah, man. I got a couple different series I want to do. I guess I'll share them. Obviously, I'm doing the posing thing with my buddy Daniel. He lives an hour away, so it's kind of tough sometimes. And then also I want to start a new one called How to Be a Pro. There's some because when you get your pro card, there's no oh, you need to do this. This is how it works or anything. There's no one telling you what to do and how to be. So I kind of want to give my perspective and kind of help some people out that way.
That'll be cool. Obviously for me.
Yeah.
What sort of things or on that list, and just to pick your brains now, so I don't, not that the whole scene, but in a sense of
man, I got it on my phone. I don't think I can scroll up, but I think
how to conduct yourself, how to social media.
Yeah. So how to conduct yourself, especially, man. So say for instance, there was a seminar this weekend, and I went to it. It was a I guess a posing clinic more so. There's this one guy, one new pro that lives close in the area, and he didn't show up. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Yeah, it may not be. I think the weird thing with bodybuilding, man, is understanding value, and not just get my money up front, but sometimes, this value long term. So say for instance, he would have came and helped these kids with posing. I don't really need a lot of posing clients. That would help his posing business. I would have referred them to them. So yeah, he didn't get paid to go to the event, but yeah, he gets clients there. And then even on top of that, man, just helping out newer people. People don't, like you said, giving back. Personally, man, I've been going back and forth with this thought in my head a while, but giving back, you don't really have to. It's nice if you do it just to be nice, but even if you want to gain something from it, that's fine too, but you still need to give back to grow your business, no matter what you're doing. I mean, as a trainer, you get a lot of clients who are giving out free information. You give back to people by saying, hey, do this on YouTube, do that. And you realize most of your clients come back to you because they say, oh, I saw you on YouTube giving out this information. I saw you on Instagram giving out this information, right? So I'm going to be talking about, giving back is one thing, and how giving back can grow your business and grow yourself as a sport. I'm going to talk about, how to talk to sponsors and how to get, how I went about guest posing deals and how much people get paid for that normally.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. A lot of money stuff is tough, man. That's the hardest part, man. So I'll be kind of open with that, like how much I get for sponsorships, money wise, what to expect. Because people, it's a mixture, man. Like one, you do want to get paid for certain things, but sometimes as a business owner, I mean, you run a business, I run a business. Some pros overvalue themselves, but some undervalue themselves, and it's tough kind of figuring out where it needs to be. So I have some pros that like they come into the spot. I know one pro in particular. He's actually placing very well in shows and at the Olympia as well. But his numbers don't reflect anything like that. Like his sales, so as a business owner, they can only pay you based on how much you give them, you make back for them, right? So paying attention to that stuff, but also not underselling yourself is important too, man. Mm-hmm. Because that's an issue with the sport too, man. People doing all this shit for free, because it doesn't just hurt you; it hurts everyone that comes after you. And Dexter Jackson has talked about that quite a bit. Like he doesn't accept under 6-figure contracts, because once he starts accepting, less than that, then the company's like, well, Dexter Jackson took less. I mean, you need to take even less than that, Yeah. So stuff like that is really tough, man. So it's gonna be like a long video, complex videos.
That'd be cool though, because I find like it's so strange how we're in the sport that really we don't have agents. We don't have some people. We have to. What happens is we're expected to be like yourself now. You're expected to try and win a Mr Olympia, but then also juggle all these things: YouTube, advertising, and you have to like all you want to do is do a Dorian Yates and be like, right, I need to train, eat, sleep,
and
then be like,
man, like it's good and bad, man. I personally, I kind of do wish it was like those old days where you could just do that, to be honest with you. But I guess it's cool because you can kind of create your own path, I guess.
Yeah.
But it is a lot harder these days. Like people don't realize this. Like Cedric McMillan was like the last pro bodybuilder to not have to do social media, and that ran out, and he had to join Raycon, for the longest time, man, up until I think he signed Raycon maybe a year or two ago. He was just doing appearances. He didn't have to do anything for SciTech, social media wise. So that was the last of an era, man. It's pretty crazy to think about.
Some insight for myself. Sometimes I enjoy the fact that I'm accessible to people. Like you must have crazy, but like obviously on my level, like I'm accessible to people because I can help people. But also, like you say, where do you differentiate that balance? It's trying to find the balance of like not putting yourself out there too much, and then also like it's hard, man. Like especially when you gain more attention, because you probably like when you got the second at the Olympia, your audience must have gone through the roof, right? Like your followers.
Yeah, it went up by maybe like 60, 70K.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing is, man, like you said, being a bodybuilder these days isn't just being a bodybuilder. You have to be a business person. You have to learn how to do marketing. You have to learn how to sell. You have to learn how to do YouTube. You have to learn how to negotiate. You have to learn. It's not just being a bodybuilder. It's like sometimes you have to learn how to be a photographer, take good photos. You have to learn how to do all this stuff, man. And it's a lot. It's a lot.
Probably the best person to do that back in the day was like Tom Platz, right? He was big.
Tom Platz is really good, yeah.
Like I went to a seminar of his over in the UK, and like you can just listen to him speak for 40 minutes, and you feel like you could take the whole world on. You're like, I could do anything.
Dude, he was a good businessman, man. I was talking to John Meadows about it when I went up to train with him, and John said, yeah, he was like one of the best businessmen back in the day. Yeah,
his head screwed on. Like it is hard to juggle it all, but I think like you said, the series would be epic for people to watch because it'll be nobody really knows. It's kind of taboo in the industry. No one really knows what you get paid.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, everyone's like,
it's tough, man. It's tough. That's why I really like that video Fuad did. Fuad did a video too on like how much bodybuilders make.
Oh, I didn't see that.
It's pretty good. It's pretty accurate. I think the thing, it's been a while since I looked at it, but I think the one thing that was kind of out of date was how much pros make from sponsorships these days. Because he said his first sponsorship was like 50, 60K. That doesn't happen. For a new pro, that doesn't happen.
I remember like Muscle Tech, they literally signed like Branch, Jay, Dexter, and they was offering easy contracts. But like now,
I look back at that and I wonder why. I kind of try to think about what changed, and it's a couple of things. It's one, they can track how much people sell these days. I think Ronnie was worth the money. I know Ronnie was making like $1 million. I think Ronnie probably deserved to make that. But some of the new pros that popped up, like Nick Trigilli, he was like one of the last guys to get a big contract as an amateur. He had a 6-figure contract, like $100K from I think Muscle Mass. I think people don't make as much just because they can track how much people actually sell. That's one thing. But two, they have such a larger force of people to sell by. Like back in the day, they had maybe 6 people selling for them. Nowadays they have 20 pros, athletes, and then they also have 1,000 ambassadors.
Yeah, exactly.
So that money is just spread out much further.
Well, like with the pro bodybuilders, you don't even need to. Like when I was in Dubai, there were so many influencers that was nowhere near a pro bodybuilder standard, and they had like 500,000 followers, 1 million, 2 million followers. So now it's like them guys are more lucrative on the actual stat than say me or you, and it's kind of like that's the shift, isn't it?
That's the thing, man. Like it doesn't matter if you're pro or not. So a supplement company, like I said, it's the business. So if that pro status doesn't get them, make the money, they don't care. So
I'm gonna get my ass out. I'm just gonna get my ass out. I'll be there, literally.
Yeah, man. I think I try to pay attention, man. I try to learn from everyone I can, man. So like I look at some of the social media influencers, like Andre is a really cool dude. His girlfriend's in Tampa. His name Rafaela. So he's in town. So I look at his page. I try to learn how to take pretty photos and shit.
When I was out there, his physique
is
he's like the way he's put together. He's got the look. I think he'll go far, right?
Yeah. I mean, this was his first Olympia, and he get? Like he got 5th, I think.
Yeah,
4th or 5th.
Yeah, he fits that criteria, right? Yeah, he's good.
Well, impressive.
What else?
So I mean, I try to learn from him. Like, I watch him. I look at Chris. Say what?
Oh, so I was just gonna say there's a few questions.
Oh, but I said I look at him. I look at. Okay, yeah, we can do questions.
Oh, sorry, brother. I think it just froze then.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Okay, would you rather? Can you hear me, bro?
Okay. Hold on 1 second. Connection's bad. Hello. Oh man.
I got you, bro. You're still here.
Okay, there we go. Would I rather what?
There was questions. So, would you rather win the Olympia, or never coach again?
It's very vague. Would I rather win?
So you have to win. You can win the Olympia, but you can never coach or posing routines. Coach posing routines again.
Okay, so I can win the Olympia and never coach again, or not win the Olympia and continue coaching. This is messed up. Honestly, man, I would probably. I'm thinking long. I could think around this. I would probably win the Olympia because I could still provide value to people through like YouTube, through like an app or whatever. I can still help people. And then I can have coaches that coach people. So yeah, I'll do that. I don't know if that's cheating, but that's my answer.
I thought the same thing. I was like, for me as well, this is why I stopped one-to-one personal training, because I could only help one person within the hour. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So by my time then I could help probably, like you say, putting out content. I could help thousands of people within a 3-minute video. So it kind of just made sense to then transition over from like stop PTing and working 4 or 5 hours a day and then I can make more content or coach more people and so on and help more people. So yeah, I'm the same as you. Like I was thinking of it like on a financial level, like how much more money would I make? Would I make more money from being a the moral side of me was like, okay, I can help more people. Like the audience will be big.
Yeah. Yo, man, it's crazy. Like some of these people, man, like bodybuilding, like Mr. Olympia's that have been broke. It was.
There you go, bro. Go on.
I said, yeah, man, the Olympia doesn't equal, money. I mean, it definitely helps. Don't get me wrong. If you're smart, you can leverage it. But there's some Mr. Olympias that have been broke, and Aaron Singerman bought one of the standouts a couple years ago.
Really?
Yeah. He bought it from somebody.
Pay for it.
I don't know how much he paid for it, and I don't even know who's Mr. Olympia is. I think everyone was trying to figure it out. I figured it was probably one of the ones from like the 80s when they were switching, not 80s, but 70s, late 70s, early 80s when they were switching names really quickly. Mm-hmm. I think it was one of them people that sold it.
Yeah, because Aaron's got enough money to buy whatever he wants. So
he got whatever he wants, man. Yeah.
Start collecting stuff. You're like, I'll not prep, I'll not be a bodybuilder, but I'll just buy the trophy.
I know, right? It's just as good. It still got it. Didn't win. Didn't do anything.
Yeah, get the trophy as well. It's crazy. So, how long do you feel like you're going to be bodybuilding for? When do you have you put a time scale on it, or you just?
I think about it a lot, man. So I'll do it as long as I enjoy it, and two, I'm doing okay. If I start to suck, then I'm gonna retire. If I stop enjoying it, I'll retire. Yeah. Time wise, I mean, but before that, if I had to put a time on it, if I want to focus more on my business, I may retire too. But I at least got another 10 years, 10 or so, 35 to 37. Mm-hmm. I have left, I think, still. I just did my blood work.
What after bodybuilding? You thought about what after bodybuilding?
After bodybuilding, well, right now the way my business is going, I'll still be pretty heavily involved in bodybuilding. I was hoping to do a show. I was supposed to be promoting a show this year, but COVID kind of messed that up. So maybe next year. So I'll probably still be pretty heavy in the sport. I mean, I would hope to be like Jay Cutler once I retire, still doing everything, going places, making appearances, if I can.
Yeah, that's the thing as well. I always think about the only thing I find bodybuilding may restrict me on is traveling. That's the one thing I hate because I love to travel. And I think to myself, as soon as I always do this, as soon as I finish bodybuilding, I'm going to be just hopping. Like I have this scenario where like 20 meals, I don't have to think about getting an Airbnb because I need a kitchen. I don't need to find the nearest supermarket. I'm like, I will just go, get a coffee, get a
Yo, man, it gets easy. So, like, man, once you can do it, man. You can travel and bodybuild, and I'll say that because look at Kai. I took a lot of advice from Kai in that regard. He travels a lot, man, and he's still shredded and huge. Even when I traveled, when I was up there doing that tour, when I saw you, it was a lot. Like, obviously, you're not gonna be competing in travel, but to look good, it's pretty easy, man, to travel. And keep your size and look good.
You find it hard to like for me personally, I find it like I'm not giving my all if I'm traveling. Like I think to myself, I need more routine, or I need to be more diligent, or my training not in the same gym. And I kind of I'm say for this year, if they had so many opportunities for you to travel like every couple of months, would you take them, or would you say no? I need to actually just focus on the Olympia.
I'll take them, man. So a lot of people don't know this, but before this past Olympia, my best placing was 6th. I was in El Salvador up until I think I got back a week and a half or 2 weeks before the Olympia that year. And I didn't have any issues. Nothing changed. I still ate my food. I still trained. I just was in El Salvador. I also, for the Arnold, I started my prep for the Arnold in Korea. I was in Korea for about 2 weeks. That was a little difficult for me. I'm not gonna lie, but we still made progress. The difficult part for me over there was the shit was just so different. Like they didn't have a normal scale. They just had like the old school. They didn't have a digital scale. It was a pain in the ass, man. Trying to like put my Tupperware, and then the scale's already showing something that I'm putting my chicken in, and then it's up, and then I have to add. I had to do like math, and I didn't feel like doing it. That was hard. Training still was easy, man. Like I guess some people, it doesn't bother me being in different places training if I'm there for a while. Like I can't. I was in Korea for about 2 weeks, so it wasn't too bad there. But if it's like 3 days, that would be a pain. I wouldn't want to do that. You know.
What was the reception like from people in Korea? Because like I know Korean people small, like short, like short people. Yeah, like
yeah.
Like China or anywhere like that. I felt tall for once. I was like, yes.
yeah. No, I felt No, it was dude, it's I love it, man. I love Korea. One, I feel like they respect bodybuilding a lot more. They appreciate bodybuilding more. It made me feel like I'm not doing enough, to be honest with you. Like the way they break down posing, like they literally have a presentation with like a skeletal system, the muscular system, like muscles and everything, and they like have like graphs and designs. I'm like, man, I just showed up with just me, and I was gonna move people around. I was like, damn, they probably think I don't even care. So it really, the amount of effort they put into everything they do is like you don't see that everywhere. Yeah, so that was really cool. And
where's the places that you want to travel to? Where do you need to? What's on your list?
I want to go to Brazil because I would say Brazilians are some of the most hardcore bodybuilding fans. Like anytime you see a Brazilian bodybuilder, there's like 1,000 Brazilian friends under the comments. You know what I mean? Yeah, I want to go to India at least once. And then I want to go back to all the places I've already been. I want to go back to Europe and UK. I want to go back to Korea. I guess the only other place I really want to go to for bodybuilding, two places might be like Germany and Japan.
Yeah, I want to go to Japan. I actually booked Japan, but I didn't realize at the time I booked it was really cold. And like obviously, if you say the UK weather is awful, so if I'm going to go on holiday, I'm going to go with somewhere that's sunny. And then the person was like, "No, you're going to Japan. It's going to be freezing." I was like, "No." I was like, "Nope." I was like, "Cancel that." But I definitely want to go to Japan. It looks like totally looks crazy. Futuristic, right?
So the cool thing, man, is like that's one of the things I'm gonna talk about with how to be a pro. Like there's like obviously a lot of events, most of my events I get paid for, but I would honestly go to Japan for free. If and I would just leverage them like, okay, you guys, so say for instance, I would say if they can pay me, you know, but obviously you gotta realize the flight is like $2,000 from the States. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Hello? So I would leverage it like pay for my flight and pay for my hotel, and I'll come for free. So I could just make it, and you're working for one day. You're working for 5 minutes on stage, and then I'll say, okay, give me like 3-4 days of hotel stay, and then you just make a vacation out of
it. Yeah, that's the dream, right?
Yeah, so I've done that. I've done that a couple times. When I go to Korea, they got a lot of money in Korea, so they normally pay me. But El Salvador it's a poor country, right? So they can't really afford. So that's what I do when I go to see them.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Have you got any appearances for this year?
Yeah. I got a couple. I try to do one type of event every month. I try to do two, but at least one event a month. So this month I've had two seminars. March I have another seminar in Texas. April, I have a guest posing here. And I got another guest posing back in Texas again. I got another guest posing in Minnesota. I like to do international stuff, but most of that stuff's canceled. I got an invite to Australia, but it depends on what's going on with COVID.
Yeah, because
I got an invite to Korea too.
You guys are not in lockdown now, are you?
No, we're not in lockdown, but I just don't want to. I don't. No one wants to pay for me a hotel for 2 weeks to quarantine. No.
Yeah. This is the reason I came from Dubai, because in the UK they just implemented us having to stay 10 days in a hotel once we land, and then I'd have I think it was £2,000 to stay in the hotel, and I was like, I'm gonna stay 10 days. I'm like, hell no. But I really, really appreciate you coming on like the podcast. Like I said to you, it's like I've only just started this thing, so it's kind of just putting myself out there. So I was like, fuck it, I'll just message you anyway. But yeah, man, thank you so much for coming on, bud. Like, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Like,
I like you're doing, man. You're on your way, man. I will say, like, I've done a couple podcasts, and the ones that are the best are the ones that are organic and they don't ask you like the boring bodybuilding stuff, like how much chicken breast are you eating, and stuff like that. So,
go on, bro.
oh my God, did you hear me?
Yeah, got you now. Let's go.
Okay. Well, yeah, I guess that's it, man. It keeps freezing on me. I guess it's time.
Yeah. Thank you, man. I really appreciate it, brother. That's fucking
awesome.
Epic. Hopefully, like the next time I'll see you will be at the Olympia.
Dude, that'd be awesome, man. That'd be awesome, man. I think things would be a little bit easier for you now that you're at the pro level. They won't say what you're too big or whatever. So
I need to get bigger. That's the fun part, right?
Yeah.
Nice one, bro. Right, have a good day. I'll catch you in a bit.
You too, man. Cool.